Welcome to the course on advanced power electronics, and we'll cover today topic current source inverters. This current source inverters, the voltage source inverter are fed from voltage source, and the load current is forced to fluctuate from positive to negative and vice versa. And to cope with the inductive load, the power switches with filling diodes are required. Whereas in current source inverter, the input behave as a current source, and the output current is maintained constant irrespective of load on the inverter, and the output voltage is forced to change. And this is a typical photograph of current source inverter. Then coming to application of current source inverters, it's typically have been developed for wind application. As you can see from permanent synchronous generator, that you have a current source rectifier, then followed by, of course, the inductor to make a constant current source for current source inverter feeding to the grid like. And similarly for current source inverter for induction motor type, so here also we need a current source rectifier to make the DC current source with the inductor, and then we have a current source inverter feeding induction motor type. And it's also used in typically in current source inverter based series type, where of course earlier we were using the thyristor for this purpose. Now we use the self-commutating device like GTO or IGBT with series diode. And this, because this is capable of operating in PWM mode, and we are able to generate even leading reactive power which is required for machine for this wind application typically. And then we use this current source, of course, in the inverters in HVDC system, of course with the GTO, as well as current capacitor commutated HVDC system. Apart from that, we use even typically the thyristor converter also with the line commutation. So that's also all the current source inverter only. So here, of course, we can use the advantage of PWM, and we can even eliminate the, you can call it the reactive power plant, as well as the reduction of harmonics also we can do with the PWM of this using the your GTO. Then of course the current source inverter in STATCOM application for power quality improvement or reactive power generation, and then application of current source for energy storage with battery. Coming to the basic concept of this current source inverter, maintains the constant output current irrespective of load, and the output voltage is forced to change. And this is achieved by using a large value of inductor in series at the output of rectifier to feed the inverter. And however, a diode in series with the transistors are required to block the reverse voltage on the transistor. And the 6-step thyristor based current source inverter can control AC motor either with load commutation or force commutation. It normally requires 3-phase capacitor at its output as a filter, and these two functions of capacitors are to assist the commutation of switching devices and filter out the line current harmonics. And the capacitor may affect the input power factor due to the LC resonance. So the capacitor size depends on switching frequency. As you increase the switching frequency, size of capacitor will reduce it. And of course, LC resonance mode and required line current total harmonic distortion, as well as input power factor. So the typical example of single phase transistor current source inverter. So we have to form the constant DC voltage source to make the current source. We have to use the simple, you can call it the buck converter, and with the inductive filter, and then virtually we use the two inductors with capacitor. So here this current source is feeding the inverter. Of course, if you are using any transistor family, either MOSFET or BJT or IGBT, we have to use the series diode, because the transistor family does not have a reverse blocking capability. So this can be operated in PWM mode, or it can be operated virtually in square mode. But for the control of output current, because DC link current is constant, so for control the output current in the load, we certainly require typically the, you can call it PWM control of this current source inverter. So this is typically kind of gating pulses for this single phase, you can call it current source converter, with the typical waveform. So because there must be a continuous current flow from the source, two switches must always conduct, one from the upper and one from the lower switches, and the conduction sequence is 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4 and 4, 1 as shown in the adjoining figure. So this is the typically the current source states, how the devices are on up and off, and switching state we call it. Then the switching state, then the current, how it is really, the load current is there typically in the output, DC link current in the output, and component conducting. Transistor Q1, Q2 act as the switching devices S1, S2 respectively, and if the two switches, one upper and one lower, conduct at the same time, such that the output current is IL, the switch is in one state, where the switches are in off. At the same time, the switch state is 0. So diodes in series with the transistor are required to block the reverse voltage on the transistors. So now coming to when the two devices in different arm conduct, the current source IL flow through the load. When two devices in the same arm conduct, the source current bypass from the load, and the Fourier that gives the pendulum kind of current in the load. The Fourier series, and you can control the really RMS current and fundamental current in the load. So the Fourier series of load current can be expressed I0 equal to N1 to 5 and to infinity and 4 IL upon N pi sin N delta upon 2 and sin N omega t. Coming to three-phase current source inverter, of course here also we in series with the variable DC voltage, we put the inductor that makes the current source, and then we have a similarly IGBT with series diode makes the reverse voltage blocking capability, and then we feed the load. So we can operate item PWM mode, or we can operate in 60-degree mode, but for control of the output current and correspondingly the voltage, so we require pendulum control. And these are the typical, of course, you can call it similar to VSI 6-step. We have a current source inverter also operating in 6 source. So these are the current, but the load voltage decided by the nature of the load, whether it is resistive load, RL load, or capacitive load. So in the three-phase current source inverter, at any instant, only two devices conduct at the same time, and each device conduct for 120 degree. The instance current for phase A of star connected load can be expressed I equal to N equal to 135 to infinity 4 IL upon N pi sin N pi upon 2 and sin N pi by 3 and sin N in bracket omega t plus pi by 6. So instantaneous current for phase A of a delta connected load can be expressed as I equal to N equal to 1 to infinity 4 IL under root 3 N pi sin N pi by 2 and sin N pi by 3 and sin N omega t for N equal to 135. So the different pendulum technique can be applied that to vary the load current and to improve the quality of its waveform. So CSI is a dual of voltage source inverter. So line to line voltage of a VSI is similar in shape to the line current of CSI, and the advantage of current source inverters are, since the input DC current is controlled and limited, misfiring of the switching of devices or short circuit will not be a serious problem, and the peak current of power devices is limited, and the commutational circuits for thyristors are simpler, and it has the ability to handle reactive or regenerative load without the fielding diode. Then a current source inverter requires a relatively large reactor to exhibit current source characteristic and an extra converter stage to control the current, and the dynamic response is slower because of large inductor and due to the current transfer from one pair of switches to another, and output voltage required to suppress the output voltage is spike. So now this current source, of course, inverter can be classified load commutator inverter as well and pendulum current source inverter. So this is typically load commutator converter. You can clearly see that normally we use the DC current source and thyristor, and of course we put a capacitor in parallel to the load to make so that load is a leading power factor, and that power is the commutation for the thyristor. So it is used for number of applications like induction heating and many other applications of such nature, including the motor control, like a synchronous motor control. The operation of a single phase CS current source inverter with capacitive load is discussed here. It may be noted that the capacitor is assumed to be parallel with the resistive load, and the capacitor C is used for restoring the charge or voltage to be used to force commutate the conducting thyristor pair, and a constant current source or a voltage source with large inductance is used at the input to the circuit. And in load commutator inverter, the power switcher device is used here is the same, that is 4 thyristor and only in a full bridge configuration. But before t equal to 0, the capacitor voltage is Vc equal to minus V1, and that is the capacitor has left plate negative and right place positive, and at that time the thyristor pair TH2 and TH4 is conducting, and when at t equal to 0, the thyristor pair THN and T3 is triggered by the pulses fed at the gates. The conducting thyristor pair TH2 and T4 is reverse biased by the capacitor voltage Vc equal to minus V1 and turns off immediately. So the current path is through TH1 load parallel combination of R and C and TH3 and the source, and the current in the thyristor is TH1 equal to ITH1 equal to ITH3, that is equal to I. The output current is to be capacitor voltage Vc changes from minus V1 to V1, and the capacitor gets charged by the current IC during the time T, let's say greater than T by 2 and up to 0, the load voltage VO equal to VC, and thus the waveform of the current through the load resistance follow the voltage waveform, and the reverse happens in the time period when the T is between T by 2 and T. And these are typical waveforms, like you can see how the typically the getting signal and how the current voltage and currents, the output are there, and how the thyristor currents are typically there. And this is equivalent circuit, you can call it between 0 to T by 2, the capacitor in parallel of the resistance and feeding the current source. And this is in case of when T by 2 to T, how the equivalent circuit we have. And these are typically you can consider how it is your V and I0, V0 output voltage, output current, the large T and small t. And this is of course another basic concept of single phase auto sequential commutative current source inverter. So in this case we are using the additional diodes and capacitor for the purpose of commutation. It's called auto sequential commutation circuit, which are widely popular even for the induction motor drive or many motor drive. So here this, along with when you really fire the thyristor, along with that the capacitor will also get charged, and when you apply, then it virtually forces to commutate the previous conducting thyristors, and since voltage is low, so current rushes towards that side. So you can call it TH1 commute the TH2, and TH1 when fired is commuted the TH2. So like that the concept goes into this like. So the thyristor pairs TH1 and TH3 and TH2 TH4 are alternative turn on to obtain the nearly square wave current waveform, and two commutating capacitors C1 in the upper half and C2 in lower half are used. So 4 diodes D1 to D4 are connected in series with each thyristor to prevent the commutating capacitors from discharging into the load. And the output frequency of the inverter is controlled in the usual way, that is by varying the half period T by 2, and at which the thyristors in pair are triggered by pulses being fed to the respective gates by the control circuit to turn them on, as can be observed from the waveform. And the inductance L is taken as the load in this case, the reasons for which need not to be stated being well known, and the operation is explained by the two modes. So starting from the instant T equal to 0 minus, the thyristor pair TH2 and TH4 is conducting, and the current I flows through the path, and TH2, D2 and load D4 and TH4 and source I. The commutating capacitors are initially charged equally with the property as given, that is VC1 equal to VC2 equal to VC0, and this means that both capacitors have right hand plate positive and left hand plate negative, and if two capacitors are not charged initially, they have to be pre-charged. And this is a typical circuit for mode 1, how the current typically flows. Typically when you really have a TH1 fired, the capacitor initially current forces towards the D2, and this T1 get reversed similarly on the bottom side. And similarly when really capacitor is completely charged, how the circuit take place operation. And this is the equivalent circuit of mode 2, how the capacitor comes in parallel of the load, and these are typically the getting signal as well as the voltage coming across the capacitor, and then typically the current and how the current during commutation, how the diode current and how the typically you can call capacitor currents are there. And these are three-phase current source node which are used extensively earlier for induction motor drive, and the capacitors and diodes are only required for commutation of the thyristor. And so this commutation circuit was cheaper, so it's become quite popular as well as reliable. But of course, the limitations of this, that you cannot increase the switching frequency beyond a certain limit because of this additional commutation circuit. So these are the typical, you can call it three-phase currents, how it goes with typically your 120-degree mode of operation and the operation of conduction of the different thyristor. And these are typically how the circuit operates, like when you really TH1 is operating and TH6, and similarly then when another thyristor is fired, then how this thyristor is commutated and is still path for till the capacitor charge. And then after that, once the capacitor charge, then the path goes into throw typically the another device like throw the diode. So these are different modes. So advantage of this, the circuit for current source inverter using only converter gate thyristor, which should have reverse voltage blocking capability and also able to withstand high voltage spikes during commutation, is simple. at an output short circuit or simultaneous conduction in an inverter arm is controlled by the control current source and used here, and that is a typically current limited voltage source in series with the large inductance, and the converter inverter combined configuration has inherent 4-quadrant operation capability without any extra power component. So a minimum load at the output is required, and the commutation capability is dependent on the load current, and this limits the operating frequency and also puts a limitations on its use for UPS system at light loads and high frequency. These inverter have a sluggish performance and stability problems. So coming to now pendulum current source inverters, so it can be like a trapezoidal pendulum, as in case of voltage source inverter we use all the concept here also in current source inverter, like trapezoidal pulse width modulation, selective harmonic elimination, space factor modulation, normally used for 3-phase. So the pendulum current source inverter features simple converter topology, motor friendly waveform, and the reliable short circuit protection, and therefore it is one of the widely used converter topology for the medium voltage type. And two types of current source inverter are commonly used in medium voltage type, and pendulum inverters and load commutator inverter. And the pendulum inverter uses the switching device with cell extinguish capability. So prior to the advent of the GCT devices in late 90s, GTO were dominantly used in current source CSI FET drive, and the GCT devices used in the current source inverter are of symmetric type with a reverse voltage blocking capability, and the load commutator inverter employs thyristors whose commutation is assisted by the load with the leading power factor, and the axial topology is particularly suitable for very large synchronous motor drive with a power rating up to even 100 megawatt. And these are typically with the GTO. With the capacitor filter and the load like index motor or any other motor. So here it operates in pendulum to making a load current continuous, we use the capacitor filter, and the value of capacitor filter we already talk about. It depends on the switching frequency, I mean how much you are, as well as the amount of the load like. And this is the typically realization of DC current source, that normally with the usually using a thyristor or pendulum rectifier identical nature, we derive the current source with the feedback. You have to put a particular kind of and then we have a pendulum inverter with the capacitors as a using filter, so that the motor currents are continuous and torque ripple as well as the harmonics of currents are reduced. So now pendulum current source has the following characteristic. And the simple converter topology, the GCT devices used in the inverter are of symmetrical type. We do not require anti-parallel prevailing diodes, and motor friendly waveform. The current source inverter produces a 3-phase pendulum current instead of pendulum voltage as in the VSI. And with the filter capacitor installed at the inverter out, the load current and voltage waveforms are close to sinusoidal, and the high dV by dt problem associated with the VSI does not exist in the CSI. And coming to reliable short circuit protection, in case of short circuit at the inverter output terminal, the rate of rise of the DC current is limited by the DC choke, allowing the sufficient time for the protection circuit to function. And coming to limited dynamic performance, the DC current cannot be changed instantaneously during the tangent, so which reduces the system, the system dynamic performance. Now coming to switching pattern design for current source inverter generally satisfy the two conditions. The DC current ID should be continuous, and B, the inverter pendulum IW should be defined, and the two conditions can be translated into switching constraint at any instant of time excluding or commutation interval. There are only two switches conducting, one in the top half and of the bridge and other in the bottom half, and with only one switch turned on, the continuity of DC current is lost at very high voltage will be induced by the DC choke, causing the damage to the switching devices. And this is a typically trapezoidal modulation, as you can see how the even we have talked about this in case of VSA also. So we use to reduce the harmonics in this manner. The advantage is that we have a less number of switching, and you can see how the typically the output current IW is produced, I mean with this kind of the typically switching, and the getting pulses correspond to that. So the figure in the previous slide shows the principle of trapezoidal pulse width modulation, TPWM, where the VM is the trapezoidal modulating wave and VCR is the triangular carrier wave, and the amplitude modulation index is defined M equal to V M dash upon VCR dash, and where VM dash and VCR dash are the peak value of the modulating and the carrier wave respectively. So the switching frequency of the devices can be calculated by SW equal to F1 into NP, where F1 is the fundamental frequency, NP is the number of pulses per half cycle of IW. So TPWM scheme produces the two pairs of dominant harmonic at n equal to 3 in bracket np minus 1 plus minus 1 and n equal to 3 in bracket np minus 1 plus minus 5. With np equal to 5, the dominant harmonics in IW include the 7th, 11th, 13th and 17th, and these lower order harmonics are difficult to be fully attenuated by the filter capacitor and the motor inductance and causing a detrimental effect on the motor operation and harmonic power losses. So therefore the applicability of the trapezoidal modulation is diminished for NP less than 7. And these are typically, you can see how the harmonic content of IW produced by TP with NP equal to 13, and the dominant harmonics, like you can say, is the sideband of that. So it comes like a typically your 30 harmonic, and that 35, 37, similarly 41, 43 kind of. So, and you can see how how with the typically the modulation index virtually, you can call it output current changes like. So now coming to another pendulum technique, selective harmonic elimination. Selective harmonic elimination is an offline modulation scheme which is able to eliminate a number of lower order unwanted harmonics in the inverter pendulum current IW, and the switching angles are pre-calculated and then imported into digital controller for implementation. And these are typical waveform for selective harmonic elimination. So in the above figure, there are 5 pulses per half cycle and p equal to 5 with 5 switching angle in the first pi/2 period. However, only 2 out of the 5 angles, θ1 and θ2, are independent, and given these 2 angles, all other switching angles can be calculated. So the switching angle provides the 2 degree of freedom which can be used to either eliminate 2 harmonics in IW without modulation index control, or eliminate the 1 harmonic and provide an adjustable modulation index MA to control the output current. And the first option is preferred since the adjustment of I1 is normally done by varying the ID through rectifier, and the number of harmonics can be eliminated is then given by K equal to NP minus 1 by 2. And the inverter pendulum current IW can be generally expressed IW as a function of IT equal to N equal to infinity n sin n omega t, and where the n equal to 4 upon pi 0 to pi by 2 IW sin n omega t into d omega t, and the Fourier coefficient an can be found out typically n equal to 4 id upon pi θ1 for the different typical period. So θ1 θ2 sin n omega t plus minus 4, and then θk pi by 6 to omega t plus that your pi by 3 minus pi θk to integral to pi 3 minus θk minus 1 sin n omega t d omega t. Similarly for typically your integral from pi by 3 to minus θ1 to pi by 2 sin n omega t d omega t k, where the k is odd, and similarly we can find out this typically when k is even in the lower two terms, like from which n can be calculated for id upon pi n as a typically translation, and cos n θ1 cos n pi by 3 minus θ1, then cos n θ2 and cos n pi 3 minus θ. Similarly for all the terms when k is even. So to eliminate k harmonic, k equations can be formulated by setting an equal to 0. So that is phi equal to θ1 to θk equal to 0, that is I equal to 1 to up to k. So for example, to eliminate 5th, 7th, 11th harmonics in the IK, the following 3 functions can be derived. f1 equal to cos pi θ, then cos 5 in pi by 3 minus θ1 plus minus cos 5 θ2 minus cos pi by 3 minus θ2. Similarly cos 5 θ3 plus cos 5 in bracket pi by 3 minus θ and minus cos pi by 6 equal to 0. Similarly for f2 with the cos 7 θ, and for 11th harmonic cos 11 θ. And then you can see the waveform typically of the effect on 5th, 7th and 11th harmonic elimination, and you can see from the harmonic analysis also they are eliminated. And these are the waveform measured from current source inverter fed selective harmonic elimination scheme. Of course we use the typically the filter here, capacitor filter. So coming to now third pendulum technique which are used of course in voltage source and here also in 3-phase current source inverter. So in addition to the TPWM and selective trapezoidal pendulum and the selective harmonic elimination, the current source inverter can also be controlled by spectral modulation scheme. As stated earlier, the pendulum switching pattern for the current source inverter must satisfy a constraint. There is only 2 switches in the inverter conduct at any time instant, and one in the top half of the CSI bridge and other in the bottom half. And under this constraint, the three-phase inverter has a total of 9 switching states, and this switching state can be classified as zero voltage switching states and active switching state. Now this is the space factor modulation. Here we have a zero state. I mean, in voltage source inverter we have only two zero state, upper 3 divides on or lower 3, but here we have a 3 state when any one of the 3 legs can be short circuited. I mean, with the 1 4 1 and 4 same leg switches around, then 3 6 second switch, and then 5 2 switches. So all 3 legs are, and current output are 0. With the space vector we call it 0 vector. And similarly for active 6 state with a combination of 6 1 2 1 2, all these, and where you can have a pattern of the current in different phases, and the different phasor we call it, like in space vector I1 I2 I3 I4 I5 I6. like. So there are 3 switching state, 1 4 2 3 6 and 5 2, and the 0 state 1 4 signifies that S1 and S4 switch inverter phase A lag conduct simultaneously, and the other 4 switches in the inverter are off, and the DC current ID is bypass, leading I equal to IW equal to IWB equal to IW equal to 0. The operating mode is often reported as bypass operation, and there exists a 6 active state. The state 1 2 indicate that the switch S1 in lag A and S2 in lag C are on. The DC current flows through S1 and the load to S2, and then back to the DC source, resulting in IW equal to ID and IWC minus equal to ID. And the definition of other 5 active states defined in the given table, and you can see how really the space factor is there similar to your 3-phase voltage source inverter. Typically space factor diagram of current source inverter is shown in the adjusting figure, and I1 to I6 are the active vector and I0 is the zero vector as it is shown in the figure. So active vectors form the regular hexagon with 6 equal sectors, while the zero vector I0 lies on the center of the hexagon. So assuming that the operation of inverter is a 3-phase balance, and we have IWA T plus IWB T plus IWC T equal to 0. So where IWA, IWB, the IWC are the initial field of output current in the inverter phase ABC respectively, and 3-phase current can be transformed into 2-phase current in alpha beta plane. So I alpha I beta with this matrix and current 2 by 3, 1 minus half 0 and root 3 by 2 and minus 3 by 2 into the matrix of column IWA, IWB, IBWC, and these are typically the dual time calculation. So you can calculate from this a vector I reference TS equal to the total period is require I1 T1 plus I2 T2 plus I0 T3, and where TS equal to T1 plus T2 plus T0. So you can call it I reference is equal to I reference e to power j theta, and I1 equal to 2 by 3 ID to power minus j pi by 3 pi by 6, and I2 equal to 2 by 3 ID into power j pi by 6, and where I0 equal to 0. So splitting the resultant equation into the real alpha axis and the imaginary axis beta component lead to real part I reference cos theta Ts equal to ID in bracket T1 plus T2, and imaginary part I reference sin theta Ts, so that is equal to 1 upon root 3 ID in bracket minus T1 and plus T2, and solving together with Ts equal to T1 plus T2 plus T0 give T1 equal to MA sin pi by 6 minus theta into Ts, and T2 is MA sin pi minus plus theta into Ts, and T0 equal to Ts minus T1 minus T2, and typically M equal to I reference upon ID, and that is equal to IW1 upon ID. So coming to switching sequence, similar to the space factor modulation for the 2-level VSI, the switching sequence design the switching sequence design for the current source inverter should satisfy the following 2 requirements for the minimization of switching frequency. A, the transition from the one switching state to the next involve only 2 switches, one being switch on and another switch off, and B, the transition from I reference moving from one sector to the next requires the minimum number of switchings. And switching sequence for I reference in sector 1, that any time instant only 2 switches conduct, one in the top half of the bridge and other in the bottom half, and by a proper selection of redundant switching states for I0, the requirement for switching sequence design are satisfied. So in particular, the transition from I reference moving from one sector to next sector involve only 2 switches. So here you can have a different switching vectors and how the gating signal are generated here, like typical. And another sector, so these are 6 sectors how really and how the gating signal and how the typically IW is produced, like. And typically the IW and with the capacitor, how it is your typically the source current and then the voltage across the load. Because of capacitor, it makes a big difference in the waveform. And then you can see harmonic spectrum of the IW, that is the pendulum output. You have a large number of higher order harmonics and which are mitigated by the capacitor filter. You can say it's a very less number of harmonics are there, and the TID reduces suddenly from 45.7% to 6.36%, and even in voltage also TID reduces to even 8.77% across the load. So coming to space vector modulation versus your trapezoidal modulation and the selective harmonic elimination. So the main features of the SVM scheme is fast dynamic response, and this is in the view of the fact that this modulation index can be adjusted within a same sampling period TS, and the inverter pendulum current IW can be directly controlled by the bypass operation instead of DC current adjustment by the rectifier. And B, therefore the SVM scheme is suitable for application where a fast dynamic response is required, and the SVM scheme has the lowest DC current utilization due to its bypass operation. And the SCH scheme features superior harmonic performance. Its dynamic performance can also be improved by allowing DC current bypass operation for the quick adjustment of IW. And B, the performance of trapezoidal pendulum modulation is somewhere between the SVM and the selective harmonic scheme. And these are the typically the how the DC current utilization for all 3 modulation techniques, then dynamic response, then digital implementation, harmonic performance, and DC current bypass operation. And this is a typically parallel current source inverter for high power medium voltage drive, that we put 2 current source inverter in parallel. To really reduce the number of, you can call it the number of harmonics and increase the rating. Now coming to thyristor converter with IGBT based combination. So here on converter rectifier side, we use the thyristor converter of course with the capacitive filter, and then we derive the current source, and then we use the IGBT with series diode and with the capacitor filter on the motor side. And then another combination maybe rectifier side, we can take 12 pulse to reduce the harmonic, and then we use the IGBT pendulum with the capacitor, and then we can use 18 pulse on the rectifier side, and inverter is a pendulum inverter, and then maybe 24 pulse on the rectifier side, and we can use the current source pendulum inverter with the capacitive filter. Or we can use on the input side itself a GTO based converter with the pendulum with the capacitive filter, and the output also with the IGBT based series diode capacitor. So coming to SCR and GTO control CSI combination. So here it is again the thyristor and typically the your GTO based inverter. This is typically 12 pulse converter with the GTO based current source inverter with pendulum, but on the input side we have a 12 pulse to reduce the harmonic, and then 18 pulse with the GTO, and then 24 pulse with the GTO inverter. Or with the both side we use the rectifier inverter identical converter with the GTO with pendulum and capacitor filter also input output. And then or we to increase the rating we use the double GTO in series and the capacitor filter on both the side. Or we use the typically a kind of 12 pulse with GTO on the input side and the pendulum output for the motor side. Or we use the typically a kind of even the even the link between the two side of capacitors with the pendulum on both the side. And then we use the typically a typical 6.6 kilovolt CSI die with the 18 pulse thyristor converter to reduce the harmonics on input, and a number of GTO series connected pendulum CSI in for the output. Or typically a low cost CSI with 6 pulse thyristor converter with harmonic filters, and on the output with the pendulum GTO based converter. Or we use typically the 12 pulse, typically with the 12 pulse with the harmonic filters, and then we use the output typically also in the for synchronous motor drive in the same thyristor, but with the excitation control we give the recommendation of the. So this is used for very large rating, like even up to rating 100 megawatt. Now coming to recent progress in current source inverters for motor drive application. So the popular choice of driving electric motors using variable speed drive aims to obtain a better overall efficiency, which is crucial considering that the more than half of globally consumed electricity is used for electric motor application system. And second is the variable speed drive are usually based on the well-known voltage source inverter topology due to simplicity and efficiency. And third is the current source inverter needs reverse voltage blocking ability switches, and historically during the 1960 and 70 thyristor and gate turn of thyristor are used. And typically with the advent of the fast switching non-RYB silicon MOSFET and IGBT, CSI lost its popularity and VSI took its place on the market. However, an electric drive based on CSI may, in application like electric aircraft and electric engine, present the best design choice of the system level. The weight and volume of the power converter is higher than the equivalent VSI, but the size of the electric motor results lower. And more, CSI have several advantage over VSI in terms of filter output voltage, electromagnetic interference, reliability, and fault tolerance. And these are typically a schematic of the three-phase current source three-stage in motor drive application. So CSI is made of 6 unidirectional switches forming a three-phase bridge and an output capacitor CF filter to filter the high frequency component of the modulated current. And motor drive application will also avoid the over voltage at the motor terminal due to the inductive nature of load. And the most used modulation technique is space factor modulation based on the assumption that the source is a constant current DC source, and 9 different combinations of on switches are used, namely states. And during active state, IDC current flows to the load. During the states, IDC is shunted as shown in the above figure. So now the output current I reference is CSI is obtained I reference MA equal to I into IDC, where MA is the amplitude modulation index, and the reference output current representing the three-phase output current and assume constant over the sampling period Ts can be synthesized at the sum of the two adjacent active state and zero state, and the 3 states are imposed for certain dwell time through the ampere second balancing principle, and the resulting dwell time is Tk equal to Ma sine pi by 6 minus in bracket theta minus k minus 1 pi by 3 into Ts, and Tk plus 1 equal to Ma sine in bracket pi by 6 plus theta minus k minus 1 pi by 3 into Ts, and T0 equal to Ts minus Tk plus 1, and where k is the sector in which I reference is placed. So where k belongs to 1 to 6 and k equal to 6, and then k plus 1 equal to 1, and Tk plus 1 are active state dwell time, and T0 is the zero state dwell time. So now two conditions always guaranteed to avoid the damages in converter device. There must be always a current path for the DC current inductor ID to avoid the over voltage. This is obtained by imposing an overlap during competition between states, and there must not be short circuit between the output filter capacitor. This is achieved by unidirectional RVB switching state typically obtained with the transistor and in series diode. As you can see here, the timing of the SVM with the insertion of overlap time presented by the red cross. Coming to comparison in VSI in contrast of motor drive, so compared to VSI, CSI has several advantages when used with the motor drive. In VSI, the output voltage are square wave, where the output voltage in CSI are quasi-sinusoidal due to the output capacitor forming a second order low pass filter and with the machine inductance L0. This limits motor losses, electromagnetic interference, and dB by dt problems in the motor interturn insulation. And CSI is a higher fault tolerant as the DC link inductor limits overcurrent in case of page lag shoot throw, and the DC link inductor in CSI is much more robust in terms of vibration, humidity, temperature, and aging than the DC link capacitor in VSI. So on the other hand, typically CSI is less efficient, and in series diodes cause conduction losses, and it requires more component as it needs a front end stage that provide constant IDC. And the table given below summarize the advantage and disadvantage of VSI and CSI. The efficiency of VSI is higher, number of component in VSI is less, and for EMI CSI is better, and fault tolerant CSI better, and DC link robustness CSI is better. So now this is the 7 switch topology of this typically of current source converter, where you have this typically additional switch for the purpose of space factor modulation sourcing. So above figure shows a single stage CSI topology with the 7th switch is presented for grid connected DC to AC application and for electric drive application named CS17, and the 7th switch is placed in parallel to the 3-phase bridge and used to achieve the zero state, and in this way conduction losses during switching states are half, and all the switches in 3-phase bridge achieve zero current switching ZCS. And moreover, this topology with the proper modulation stage allow for reducing ground leakage current. And however, the boost nature of CSI with DC voltage source and the way without a pre-stage power converter, it limits its operation. operational speed. So at low speed, when back EMF and hence the output voltage are low, the CSI cannot operate as a boost. For this reason, single phase CSI is able to control the machine phase current only in the high speed range. So in another topology, tie-state logic condition is defined by the presence of additional switch in parallel to the DC link choke as it is shown in the figure. So the tie-state condition allows one to obtain the new freewheeling state in which the IDC is kept constant and the output currents are equal to zero. So whereas in typical CSI, active and zero states are mutually dependent and linked by the relation Tk equal to Tk plus 1 plus T0 equal to Ts, the new freewheeling state makes them independent, and thanks to the freewheeling state, the dynamic performance of our converter control is increased. Now coming to DC current control, the CSI needs a constant input current. Because of a constant current source is not available, several techniques have been proposed for DC link current, and some of these are current source rectifier, buck converter, DC bidirectional chopper, and this is the typically current source rectifier. To drive the current source thyristor converter, the three-phase supply or single-phase supply, we use thyristor converter with series inductor to feed the as a current source. So typically an AC voltage source is available and a current source rectifier is used, as in case of adjoining speaker. The current source rectifier and the front-end PD stage also allow current CSI to work in a buck mode so that the overall voltage gain can be less than 1 and output voltage can be lower than input voltage. Furthermore, the CSR can inherently regenerate energy from the motor, allowing the bidirectional power flow from the and to power source. And there is another way to use the buck converter. I mean, you can just see typically here with the buck converter we are able to derive the current source. So in this topology, IDC is controlled with the buck converter as shown, while the full bridge switches are computed at low frequency with the classical 6-step modulation, and the switch S2 controls the current that flows through the two states of brushless DC motor. So coming to bidirectional DC chopper, the DC bidirectional chopper allows the current to flow back to the load or source, and the regenerative braking is possible. And DC chopper can operate in a three-way, allowing the current to flow from power supply to the DC link inductor and load, and from inductor to load, and from load to power supply. And these are the three states: from source to load, how the current typically flows, and the from inductor to load, and then the load to source. And coming to, of course, the NCSI for motor direction chopper for use for low speed is considered good. A number of components is normal and regenerative braking not. In bidirectional you can have a regenerative braking but number of component high, and regenerative possible but single stage is only the you can't operate at low speed, and you can have a regeneration only number of components are reduced. So about table shows the comparison between the different input current control stage for motor drive. So low speed operation is the ability to drive motor in the low speed region where the output phase voltage is lower than the input voltage, and the number of components needed is also related to cost and control complexity. And regenerative braking is the ability to restore energy from the motor to the power supply, hence to work in 4 quadrant. Coming to resonance in motor drive application, so the output capacity filter and the motor induction form a second order LC filter that creates a resonance phenomenon which could be excited by disturbances. And to ensure system robustness against disturbances, it is important to guarantee enough damping. The damping is directly proportional to the motor winding resistance, so that the simplest way to increase it is to place in series passive resistors at the motor input terminal, and which cause more losses. Provide this, a virtual resistor is imposed by using some advanced control tech strategy for feedback control to make the system critically damped. Now comparison of VSI and CSI in terms of using wide gap devices. So VSI output voltage are pulse square wave, high switching frequency and fast output voltage high times produce more EMI and the over voltage and of the motor terminal due to parasitic cable induction. Moreover, high dV/T creates the stress on interturn insulation and produce bearing currents, limiting the lifespan of insulation and bearing. So from these reasons, the VSI topology does not permit one to fully exploit potential of fast band gap devices switches. Now, on the contrary, the CSI output currents and voltage are quasi-sinusoidal, and this takes CSI a promising alternative when using wide gap switches, as it is inherently immune to the problems associated with the squared output voltage. And it should be noted, though, even if high switching frequency allow one to reduce passive element size, VSI with an output filter is still more compact than CSI, mainly due to the bulky DC-link inductor in CSI. However, if the analysis is carried out in totally to the electric drive, power converter and electrons in CSI may prove advantages for some application. And these are typically how really you can call it 6 CSI topology for bidirectional switches, like how the bidirectional switch is there. So it's 6 bidirectional switch topology named HS6 CSI is shown in the above figure, in which every switch is composed of 2 SiC MOSFET connected in common drain configuration. So the use of bidirectional switches increases efficiency as the voltage drop across the traditional switch is lower than the across typically in series diodes, but it poses the problem of interphase short circuit during the overlap time through the path highlighted in the circuit because of bidirectional switches are non-reverse blocking. And this commutation problem is solved adopting 4-step commutation technique, in which the additional transistor body diode is used as reverse current blocking diode during commutation, avoiding the interphase short circuit. And this is typically the 7 switch S7 CSI topology with bidirectional switches, as you can see here. So in the above figure, a 7 switch topology named H7 CSI is shown, in which 6 bidirectional switch SiC switches are used and a 7th RYB switch is used to shunt the DC link current. As a result, the 6 bidirectional switches achieve zero current switching condition, and during the zero state condition losses are half. Efficiency of S7 CSI is higher between 1 to 3% than that of H6 CSI. The disadvantage of our topology is the need for 12 gate drivers for S1 to S6, and each bidirectional switch is composed of the 2 transistors. So moreover, the conduction losses during commutation are increased because of the voltage drop across the body diode and can be high as 4V, much higher than that in typical SiC shorted diode. And these are typically the 8 switch topology of CSI in the above figure, and 8 switch topology, namely S8 CSI is shown. So a net composed of diodes D8 and SiC switch 8 S8 is placed after sending the transistor S7, and thanks to S8, both transistor forming bidirectional switches S1 to S6 can commutate at the same time without the need of 4-step commutation, limiting the need of gate driver and eliminating conduction losses on the transistor body diode. And H8 CSI is slightly better than S7 CSI in terms of efficiency and requires only 8 gate signals and gate driver instead of 13. And this is a comparison. Of course, in classical H6, number of components are less, efficiency is not good, but CM common voltage is there and complexity is less. But in other, you can see hybrid S7, number of component is good and CM is also good, and S6, I mean CM voltage is good, so SiC S7 also you have efficiency high as well as common voltage also good. And as I see it again here also you have a typical efficiency high, and the comparison between CSI topology based on wind gap. Now coming to numerical examples, taking a first example, a single phase auto sequential current source inverter has an inductance of 10 microhenry and time for conduction of 4 diodes is 10 microsecond and DC link current is 20 ampere. Calculate the value of commutating capacitance and the total commutation interval and the maximum current capacitor voltage. So given a DC link current 20 ampere, load inductance 10 microhenry. So in mode 1, T1 equal to under root LC. So getting this 10 to 1, 10 to the power minus under root 10 to the power minus 6 into C, and the value of capacitance comes is there 10 micro. So where the total commutation T1 plus T2 comes here under root LC plus pi by 2 omega, where omega is 1 upon under root LC, and T2 equal to pi into 10 to the power minus by 2. So T2 is 15.70 microsecond, and total time is T1 plus T25.7 microsecond, and maximum capacitor voltage 2I divided by omega 0 C into C, and that putting the value it comes 40 volt. Coming to example 2, a single phase current source inverter is fed from 220 volt DC source. The load resistance is 10 ohm. Thyristor has turn of time of 20 microsecond and inverter output frequency is 50. Determine the suitable value of source inductance, assuming maximum current change of 0.5 ampere in one cycle. So thyristor has a turn of time 20 microsecond, inverter frequency is 1 upon T 50 microsecond T hertz, and the hence period is T equal to 1 upon 50 second. The rate change of the current Ti upon dt will be 0.5 divided by 1 upon 50, that becomes 25 ampere per second, and that VL equal to L into di by dt, that is 220 into L into 25. So hence the suitable source inductance is L equal to 8.8 Henry. Coming to example 3, a single phase auto sequential current source inverter is used to supply resistive load of 15 ohm on 220 volt DC source. If the thyristor has turn of time of 45 microsecond and inverter operating frequency 50 Hz, calculate the suitable value of source inductance and commutating capacitor. To neglect the device voltage drop and the losses, and consider a maximum di by dt value of 18 ampere per second. So maximum di by dt is 18 ampere per second, and the source inductance is Vs divided by di by dt. Putting value it comes 12.22 Henry, and turn of time t is equal to RC into logarithmic. The putting value is comes capacitance 4.328 microfarad. Coming to example 4, a single phase 50 Hz GTO based current source inverter has a resistive load of 20 ohm and with a input DC current of 11 ampere, and if it is switched in square wave mode, then calculate the load RMS voltage, fundamental load voltage, and TID of inverter output voltage. And if it is also switched in quasi square mode, then calculate the load RMS voltage, fundamental load voltage, and TID of inverter output voltage. So solution: typically load resistance is 20 ohm and input DC link current is 11 ampere and frequency 50 Hz. So in square wave mode, delta equal to 180. The RMS load current is I equal to ID equal to 11, and the fundamental is IG01 equal to 4 into ID upon root 2 into pi sin delta by 2, that comes 9.903 ampere. And RMS load voltage is I0R, that comes 220 volt. RMS fundamental voltage VO1, that is IO1 into R, that comes 198.06 volt. And TID in load voltage V upon V12 square minus 1, that comes 48.35%. And quasi square with delta equal to 120. The load RMS is I0 equal to ID under root delta by pi, so it comes typically your 8.981 ampere. And the fundamental component is IO1 equal to 4 ID upon root 2 pi 1 pi side delta by 2, it comes 8.576. And RMS load voltage I0 into R, so it comes 179.62 volt. And RMS fundamental VO1 into IO1 into R, that comes your 171.52. And the TID in voltage V upon VO1 to square minus 1, so it comes 31.11 ampere, 1%. Now coming to example 5, a single phase 50 Hz GTO based current source inverter has a resistive inductive load of R equal to 10 ohm, L equal to 25 millihenry with the input current of 7.5 ampere. If it is switched in square wave mode, then calculate the load RMS voltage, fundamental load voltage, TID of inverter output voltage. And if it is also switched in quasi square mode, then calculate load RMS voltage, fundamental load voltage, and TID of inverter output. Load resistance is 10 ohm, inductance is 25 millihenry. The load impedance R plus AXL, that comes 12.17 ohm, and input DC current 7.5 ampere, frequency is 50 Hz. So in square wave mode, delta equal to 180 degree. So RMS load current IO equal to ID 7.5, and fundamental load current is IO1 for ID 1 root 3 into pi sin delta by 2, that comes 6.752 ampere. RMS fundamental voltage PO1 equal to IO1 into Z, so it comes 85.81 volt. And the RMS voltage is under root V1 square V03 square by V5 square V7 and V9 square. So VO1 equal to IO equal to N into Zn, that is IO1 divided by N into under root R square plus N x1 square. So VO3 is equal to 7.58, VO5 is 54.69, and then V7 is 53.87, and VO9 is 53.53. So now inverter output voltage TID, that is under root 0.3205 with 7th and 11th, plus VO1, that is 128%, and quasi square delta equal to 120 degree. So RMS load current I equal to ID under root delta 1 pi. So it becomes RMS load current equal to 6.12 ampere, and the fundamental load current IO1 equal to 4 ID into pi root 2 into pi, that is sin delta by 2, so it comes 5.847 ampere. RMS fundamental load voltage VO1 equal to IO1 into Z, so putting value it comes 74.31 volt. Right? RMS load voltage V equal to under root VO1 is VO1 square, VO2 square, V3 square up to 9th harmonic. So VO1 is IO1 upon N into Zn, IO, and that is IO1 equal to 1 under root into under root and R square plus N x1 square. So from this using formula VO1, VO3 comes 49.86, VO5 becomes 47.36, VO7 46.65, and VO9 equal to 46.35. So inverter output voltage TID is under root VO3 square plus 5 square V7 square, and that becomes 128%. So coming to example 6, a 3-phase star connector resistive load 10 ohm in each phase is fed from the 3-phase auto sequential current source inverter at 20 Hz. The input DC current is into CSI 10 ampere. Calculate the RMS value of fundamental frequency component of load voltage. The solution: input DC current to CSI is equal to 10 ampere and load resistance 10 ohm in each phase. The RMS value of fundamental frequency component load current line to line is 0.779 into ID, that becomes 7.79. And in star connection, I line equal to I phase, so RMS value of fundamental frequency component of load voltage I load into R, so that becomes 79.9 volt per phase. Coming to example 7, a 3-phase delta connected resistive capacitive load R equal to 15 and C equal to 30 microfarad in each case is fed from the 3-phase auto sequential current source inverter at 50 Hz. The input DC current to CSI is 20 ampere. Calculate the RMS load phase current, the RMS value of fundamental component of the phase current, and the total harmonic distortion of the phase current, and the total phase voltage, the RMS value of the fundamental frequency of load voltage, and the total harmonic distortion of the phase. So solution is R equal to 15 ohm, C equal to 30 microfarad, X equal to 106.10 ohm, and Z equal to 107.15, IDC 20 ampere. RMS load phase current is 0.4714 into ID, that is 9.428 ampere, and the RMS value of fundamental component of phase current, that is 0.54502 into ID, that is 9 ampere, and total harmonic distortion is under root I phase square fundamental square minus 1, that is 31.04, and fundamental frequency component of load voltage is 9 into 107.15, that is 964.7 volt, and RMS load voltage is VO to VO1 square VO2 square V3, that is V1 equal to IO1 into N into Zn into IO1 upon N into under root R square plus N X1 square, so it becomes VO5 equal to 955.7, VO7 equal to 955.7, and VO11 is your 955.4, and 11 and 955.38. 380 voltage VO1 and all that comes 198.1. Coming to example 8, a 3-phase 50 Hz 6-step GTO based current source inverter has a balanced star connector resistive load of 10 ohm in each phase with a DC current of 25 ampere. Calculate the load RMS voltage, fundamental load voltage, TAD of output voltage. So load resistance is 10 ohm per phase. Load current is 0.816 ID, that is 20.25, and star connection I phase equal to I line, and load RMS phase voltage is 20.25 into 10, that is 202.5 volt, and load RMS line voltage 202 into 0.5 into root 3, that is 358.74 volt, and load RMS fundamental, that is 0.779 into ID, that is 19.47 ampere. Fundamental load voltage RMS phase voltage equal to 9.47 into 10, that is 194.47 volt, and load fundamental RMS voltage is 194.47 into root 3, that is 336.83, and TAD in load voltage is 29.03. Now coming to example 9, a single phase fully controlled GTO bridge converter with single pulse width modulation and unity displacement factor is used as a current source inverter to feed power from battery with 125 volt. The supply voltage is 230 volt and sufficient inductance is included in the output circuit to maintain the current virtually constant at 12 ampere. Determine the required pulse width, total harmonic distortion of AC current, TADI, crest factor of AC current, and the power factor, and AC RMS current and GTO RMS current. So IDC equal to 12 ampere, VDC equal to 125, VS equal to 30, VDC equal to 0.5 into VS into cos alpha, and alpha equal to 52.85 degree, and beta equal to 180 minus in bracket 2 into 52.87, that's 74.29, and RMS source current is under root pi minus 2 alpha divided by pi into IDC, that comes 7.709 ampere, and the input power is your 125 into 12 1500 watt, and IS1 is 15 by 230 into 1 6.52 ampere, and current factor 12 upon 7 1.55, and power factor displacement factor distortion factor putting value comes 0.8457. TAD in says source current under root IS upon IS1 square minus 1, that is 63.08%, and GTO RMS current is 12 by 2 to 2, that is 8.48. Now coming to example 10, a 3-phase 50 Hz GTO based current source inverter has a balanced star connector resistive load of 15 ohm per phase with the input DC current of 25 ampere, and if it is operated 180 degree mode, then calculate the load RMS voltage, fundamental load voltage, TAD of inverter output voltage, and the power consumed by the. So coming to square wave mode, delta equal to 180 degree, RMS line current is IS equal to ID by root 2, that is 17.2 68 and load RMS voltage RS into IS, that is 265.16 volt, and fundamental line IS1 equal to root 6 ID pi sin pi by 3, it comes 16.875 ampere, and to load fundamental voltage R into RS, that is 253.125 volt, and TAD under root V upon V square upon VO1 is minus 1 of root, that is 31%. Power consumed by load 3 into 7.68 is 10 to 15, that is 14.066 kilowatt. And these are the references from which are used for developing this lecture material. And thank you.